it's the same with emotion. We either have to allow ourselves to feel that full range of emotion or not.
That's the problem with emotional thinking. It leads us into pits that we didn't want to get into dangers and hazards that we don't want to get into.
How are you really going to appreciate the feeling of sadness or joy if you haven't felt despair or loss? If we can at least approach and own whatever that emotion is in the present, well, then that means I can at least do something about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Lighter Side of Heavy Things, with me, myself, Chris Clark, along with my co-host here, Dwayne Horton, two therapists at Pinnacle Counseling Center, where we just kind of take some time every week to kind of discuss some of these different topics that we find are kind of fun, interesting to talk about, and also learning how they're helpful, applicable in our everyday life.
Right. Well, and it's kind of give people the insight, right? This is something I was thinking about this week of what it's like in a therapist's brain, behind the scenes, something that people won't see.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, this has become one of my favorite parts of the week, ironically, considering how hard I resisted it. But
yeah, it is fun.
It is a lot of fun. We do laugh a lot, especially when we prep it a little bit. But most of what we do is free form.
Yes.
Right? It's just kind of like show up, here's a topic, let's see where it goes. Right? Kind of like any normal conversation would go.
Right.
Outside of here with us. Like, I mean, when we talk politics, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We have no agenda where we're going to go. We just kind of, hey.
Right.
Right.
But I think it's pretty adept in also showing, what is it like at times when it does come to therapy, right? I know I've had plenty of sessions where I look and I see who's coming in and I have kind of a game plan of more or less what it is that I feel like I'm going to be doing or working with that person. And then they come in and it's like, oh, that's going out the window.
Yes, exactly. You kind of got to you just got to flow with it. But so kind of today we want to talk about was emotions, right?
Right.
Why do you see emotions as important? What is the importance of emotions? Why do we even have them?
Well, I think, to answer one of the first questions you answered, the reason as to why I think it's important for us to talk about emotions, because I feel like that's half of the reason people come in the first place. Right. Because emotions are feeling unmanageable, or there's certain things happening in their life that are bringing up pretty strong, difficult emotions. And it's kind of figuring out what those things are. But coming back to the last part of your question, why do we have emotions, or what's the purpose of them? I kind of see emotions as that, little spice flavor of life.
Right.
Like I don't know about you, but if I were to just have mashed potatoes that just were mashed and nothing else to them, didn't have any spice, that'd be terrible.
No cream.
Nothing. Yeah.
Like, oh. Yeah, you need salt.
Yeah,
just salt.
Just water,
salt,
potatoes, maybe just a little bit of salt. Like to me, that's just terrible.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sad mashed
That's
potatoes.
sad. Don't ruin Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But emotions, I feel like, bring a very important spice to life. They make life enjoyable. They also make life, at times, maybe a little bit more than we can handle.
But there's a reason in my mind that they can't handle. There's several things. First, I love the idea that it is the flavor of life, right? But there's also something adaptive about them. Right? Like, and I tell my clients this analogy all the time. Like, if God wanted us only to be pure logic, he would have just had us formed and ready to go with our prefrontal cortex, where there's no emotion, right?
Yeah.
But no, he didn't want that, right? He had made us computers essentially that way, right? We'd be a bunch of ones and zeros. If this happens, go there. If this happens, go there, right?
Yeah.
If-then statements. If you want us to be pure emotion, then he would have stunted our growth, or at least our brain development, at around the age of around 8 or 9, when that's maybe even a little bit earlier, 6 or 7 probably, where we're in the height of the limbic system, where all of our emotions are, that primal part of our brain, where it is. But emotions are a way for us to understand and experience life differently.
Right.
Right? I mean, just consider what the difference people feel between like take scared, right? They get a full body reaction, fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they might compare that fight, flight, or freeze with something such as that happiness, like that pure success. You just triumph over something, right?
Right.
You get a different body sensation. So there's a mind-body connection that's there.
Mm-hmm.
But so the quote unquote negative emotions, like fear, anger, they're there for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love this book. This is actually something I wonder what you think of this. It's Darren Hardy who said this. He said all emotion, in a way, is fake. And he said, and here's his analogy to kind of give more context behind that. He said, everything that we feel, all our fear is here. It's fake. It's in our brain. And I actually think he's speaking more to fear. So I should probably contextualize it there. But the fear we feel is fake. And he used this analogy, and it resides well for me. He says, because he says, take fear of heights. He said, some people, will stand over the top of that cliff, looking down with their toes off the cliff and not feel a thing.
Yeah.
And then there's people like me. I have a trauma response to heights. I can tell you stories about the Grand Canyon, and oh man, I can't get within 20 yards of that thing. But it's the same canyon,
right?
So what do you make of that?
I agree in that that idea, right? Emotions or feelings fake in that idea. Because I see that as feelings are very much subjective.
Right.
Right. And I think that that's important in contextualizing that idea, because what I'm afraid of is probably going to be different than what you're afraid of, vice versa, right? It comes back to that idea of the spice of life, right? I might like my food more spicy, you might not.
Right.
And that's not necessarily saying your way, my way is better or whatnot, but it does help us better understand why there are those differences and why that's even happening.
You're exactly, and I agree with you completely, because it's like why are emotions quote unquote out of control, and why are people seeking our help? It's because of their conceptualization of those said emotions, their problems, right? Often it leads to things like, I don't know how to solve this problem,
right?
Or this seems too big, and then we wonder, why does it feel too big, right? But the interesting thing is, this isn't just humans, right? Take like a snake, right? There are cats that are terrified of snakes, right? And then there are other species of cats that hunt snake, right? It's the same same snake, essentially.
Right.
But it's not evoking the same feeling. So even within different animals, there seems to be a different response to different stimuli. And it's because one cat feels like they could go kill it. One cat feels like if it gets near me, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
How they conceptualize that aspect is very important. And that's kind of something why we talk about emotions. It's a mind-body connection. And that's why we talk about, the somatic experience often. What tells you that's so huge?
Yeah. And I think it also brings into that idea that our feelings that we often are feeling are due to those prior experiences that we have in life, which then results from whatever we learned is going to be based on how we feel, how we react to those types of things, right? Like you and spaghetti squash.
Yeah. I'm not conquering that one.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Your fear's fake, man.
It is. But I like it. It's the same with shrimp. Oh.
But it's that idea that why do we feel this way? Well, there's probably something that has happened or an experience that has led to that feeling. Now, what I find really interesting when it comes to the ideas of feelings is that a lot of people would like to be able to turn certain feelings off, but keep the other feelings on.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel upset. I don't want to feel let down. Whatever the feeling is, right? But I want to still feel happy. I want to feel joy. I want to feel excitement. Those sorts of things. But it's not possible.
Right.
You know, it's what's interesting is that when we turn ourselves off from emotion, it's like a light switch. It's either on or off.
Yeah.
You don't get that in between.
Right. There's no volume control.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no dimmer on this light switch. It's either on or off. It's the same with emotion. We either have to allow ourselves to feel that full range of emotion or not.
What's interesting, though, about what you just said, that I hadn't really pondered or postulated much, that there's also an interesting thing about that, you know, kind of it's either all on or all off. Like, my fear of spaghetti squash has stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't even know how many years ago, 30-something years ago, right? I don't have any interest in it. But I don't go to therapy because I don't want to eat spaghetti squash, right?
You don't wake up to the spaghetti squash monster?
No, because I could push that aside. It's not going to affect me.
Right.
Right? I live in Utah, a landlocked state. I have no interest in eating fish or any seafood, right? So it's not there to affect me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that kind of that quantifiable thing. It's either all on or all off. But for, you know, some others, it's kind of like it's dampenable on areas, right? You can say, hey, look, it's not there. But I think part of it is why it's so scary is because as we grow, we experience new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our perception of what, like when I was young, the ability to jump my bike and, you know, over, you know, some stupid hills that we've done.
Yeah.
That wasn't like the peak, like that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, no, it's not that cool anymore.
Right.
You know, the fact that I can now read a book and consume it and understand it, that's pretty cool to me. Or, you know, what we're doing here, conquering fears. Like, I don't enjoy necessarily watching myself or listening to myself, but those little things, or watching my kids grow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what I find interesting, that idea of it's on or off, is that I think it brings into that aspect of, well, why do we have a variety of different feelings, right? And what are those feelings trying to communicate? Because the thing is if we come back to the good, the bad feelings, right? How are you really going to appreciate the feeling of sadness or joy if you haven't felt despair or loss?
Right.
You know, that makes those happy feelings, those joyful feelings, those feelings of connection, genuine connection, even that much more powerful and sought after, because you might have felt the opposite.
Right.
And there's a reason that we need to feel that.
Right. No, but that also creates numbness. If we shut them all off, then people feel numb, because you could feel joy, but it's like an addict chasing the first hit, right? Nothing as good as that. And so it's an illusion that they keep playing. Well, I keep playing the same game. I keep running the same trail. I keep doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And no increased joy comes out of it unless there's growth. No growth comes out without challenge. We have to have challenge to grow.
Right.
Otherwise, nothing good comes out of it.
Mm-hmm. And, I think that concept of being able to feel that emotion and be okay with it is so important, and also something that we work very much with our clients.
Yeah.
And it brings into that idea of, how do we do that? Well, a step along the way is actually feeling like it's okay to own the emotions that we're experiencing.
And that comes because we're good at it, though. But that's the problem with our clients or others, is that the emotion comes up and their response is shut it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or avoid, or distract, or
blame,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Do something, which inhibits their ability to understand why. If they do any of those other coping strategies, it's natural for that to become a fear.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a fear, emotion, time to panic.
I mean, I think of my own kids and all this, right? that the fear of getting in trouble,
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden it's everyone else's fault,
Hmm.
right? But you know what? Maybe it's okay to own the fact that yes, I was doing this and I broke it.
Right.
You know?
But there's that primal fear, whether it came from past, but it's adaptive. It's like we want to avoid it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lion, we want to run,
Yeah.
right? You go out in the woods, you see a bear, you certainly don't go try and hug it,
Yep.
right?
Has sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Big claws.
And they run fast.
Yeah.
Again, they're mean. They're irrational.
Yep.
They don't care if you're 100 yards away.
That little monkey brain tell you to run up the tree.
Yeah. They don't care if you were 100 yards away from their baby. You were 100 yards away from that baby.
Yep.
Right? The fact that you saw it is enough for a threat that they need to stomp in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rational brain there.
Yeah.
It's all protective mode.
Yeah. And that's why people have those reactions to the emotions that they experience, right? It's so easy to be able to tell when working with someone or when dealing with a crisis, right? What state are they in?
Right. But you're right. It leads to what state, but it also leads people to, because we know what state they're in, we also can say, hey, wait, they're coming to probably a wrong conclusion.
Yep.
Right? We live in a world where everybody's thinking emotionally, not logically.
Yes.
Right? We're thinking in terms of power, greed, or gain, right? Those are emotions, powerful emotions,
Mm-hmm.
powerful desires, not logical desires.
Mm-hmm.
We live with it, and this isn't just, I should say, those people who are seeking those things are typically the minority of people.
Right.
Because there's a lot of good people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible good people, right? And the good people we work with have a mindset of, we should be just, we should be equitable, we should be kind to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of Americans believe in those principles.
Right.
They want those things. They don't want hatred or anger, but they want these equality type things, not necessarily in results, but in quality in the sense of that if something is unjust done, justice should be served, right? But the few that hijack our whole world make people emotional and think emotional. They go in and separate people from each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with emotional thinking. It leads us into pits that we didn't want to get into dangers and hazards that we don't want to get into. And that's why I'm convinced God gave us two parts of a brain. In essence, I'm oversimplifying greatly, but the idea that there is a logic piece. Now, if you think pure logic, you're cold, you're empty.
You're a computer.
You're a computer.
Robot.
Yeah, there's nothing. You're a shell. If you think pure emotion, you're reactive, you're volatile, you're impulsive.
Yeah. You're like my 6 and 7 year old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like literally you embrace
or 7 and 8
things.
year old. Yeah.
You embrace things just because it feels good.
Uh-huh.
Not because it's good for you. I mean, it's like eating Twinkies.
Yeah.
Like it's physics one year in high school. My physics professor was by far the best high school professor you could have, and he had a double doctorate in geophysics, geology and physics. He was an amazing man. One of our physics experiments at the very beginning of the year was find a way to destroy Twinkie. We couldn't.
Yeah.
You soak it up in hydrochloric acid. We buried it. Worms wouldn't eat it for a whole. I mean, I guess we're not in a whole school year.
Right.
What is that, about 9 months, 10 months?
Something like that.
Yeah, right. We buried it. No, nothing would touch it. But it's that kind of that idea of like the Twinkie tastes good, but it's bad for the system.
Right. Well, and then it also brings up that idea as well. If we only do things based on how it feels versus what is actually better for us. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, I know you're a dad, but how many times have you had that fight where it's like, well, I want Reese's for dinner, or I don't want I don't want that, or I want the cookie, I want the cupcake, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And why? Well, because it tastes good and it makes me feel good. right?
Yeah, give it an hour.
Yeah. But
Me and French fries last
logically,
night.
yeah. Logically though, it doesn't make sense because you know that feeling you're going to have in that moment is only going to last for a moment. You need something that's going to last longer, that's also going to be good for your body, and all these sorts of things. It very much ties into that emotional thinking, right? There's so many adults and other people today where we chased that feeling or desire regarding the emotion, right? Whether that's I want to feel good about myself or feel good about a situation. So I'm going to do that because that's all I'm looking for. There's no further thinking.
Right. Well, and it's the idea that um, not only that we're doing it for good, but we also set that up as a truth standard.
Mm-hmm.
The standard of what truth is. I'll never forget this moment. Like there was a very popular documentary that came out in a few years back, 5, 6, 7 years back. And it's one of it's only happened twice in my marriage of 20 and a half years or so, where Sarah and I stayed up late watching the show because we couldn't turn it off. And we were watching it, and I remember getting upset. I was really ticked about the whole thing. I was like, this is ridiculous. How could this happen? It felt like it, you drew on those heartstrings of this is unjust,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then about 5, 6 years later, after that one came out, another one came out that was kind of saying, wait a second, here's what really happened. Here's the actual video footage that was shown in this first documentary. Here's the second documentary. Here's what we're showing you. We're going to show you this whole segment, and we're going to show you where they picked it out.
Mm-hmm.
And they played all the raw data. Well, once I saw the raw data, I was like, well, my opinion completely changed.
Yeah.
But I could tell you on that very first time, my emotions were way high. And so I started thinking, this is why you don't think emotionally. This is why you got to think logically. What are people selling to me?
Yeah. Well, and I think that brings up a very good example of what it's like a lot of the times when we do meet with clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where that it could be a decision or a thought, whatever it is they're having, and it is purely based on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And as you sit with them for a little bit and we calm the system down, and then we start looking at the different areas, aspects of all these different things, whether it was something recent or something in the past, and they're able to sit with it and perhaps come away with a different point of view and realize, oh, that emotion got in the way.
Yes.
And they look at it and are able to see what actually maybe it was. And therefore, being able to perhaps apply the more appropriate emotion to it rather than that other emotion that was making them upset.
See, that's the point. This is why those two worlds need to intersect. Logic is cold. The prefrontal cortex is cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it can intersect with our limbic system, our emotional state. Take when people have a panic attack, what do we tell them to do? We breathe.
Yeah.
What you're really doing is now saying, hey, prefrontal cortex, your limbic system sucks. It is out of control. Take over and force the breathing to change.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving that control over it.
Yeah.
Right? And slowing it down. But it doesn't mean that the emotion was wrong. It means that we got to understand what it is. And I like that idea that we need to listen to our emotions. That's something I tell them. What is it telling you?
Mm-hmm.
Why? How is this good for you? Why is it bad for you? What tells you that it's bad? I don't know. You give me a math test, I get excited.
Mm-hmm.
Most people get ah.
But then it also brings in that idea once the emotion is calm, right? And they're starting to kind of play with the emotion, understand it a little bit more. We can start bringing in outside perspectives,
right?
Like, do you think perhaps that person really was truthfully trying to hurt you, or maybe were they just not aware?
Or maybe it was your interpretation of what they were saying.
Right.
That's the problem with emotions. It filters how we interpret things.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's all bad. It just means it changes. We got to be able to have those two worlds talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know we want to talk about anger here, because anger is this is a prime example of it. In the psychology world, we talk about anger as a secondary emotion.
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean?
So that typically means, I mean, if we're to simplify it, that there's an underlying or preceding emotion that's led to the anger, right? Um, and the way I like to look at anger is kind of thinking of it as like a funnel
Mm-hmm.
for all sorts of emotions, right? Embarrassment, sadness, uh, um, guilt, shame,
Yeah.
uh, that worthlessness, powerlessness. It's kind of that emotion where there's usually something underlying or that has preceded why that anger is now present.
Right. Because I tell my clients, it's a great protector for you.
Oh yes,
Right. And I say, isn't that great that you have it?
right, because anger's a very powerful feeling,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, anger is what gets us to war.
Uh-huh.
So it's not good, it's destructive, but its job is saying, wait, everything's attacking me. If I don't attack back, I'm defenseless.
Uh-huh.
Or I might look weak, or I'm powerless,
Or maybe that person is right
yeah. I mean,
and
or yeah, even
I'm wrong.
worse, right? Yeah. What if I'm wrong? What does
Uh-huh.
that mean about me? Um, but that's not necessarily a problem of anger. Anger is just there to protect it. But if we can listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine this world. How much of our perceived differences in our culture right now would disappear
Yeah.
if people would just understand that principle. Wait, I'm angry. What makes me angry?
Why am I feeling anger in this moment? And is there something, perhaps, if I can identify that underlying emotion, what can I do about it?
Then you can even assess: is it real?
Uh-huh.
Right? Is that even true? Like take a so kind of where we started is it's not just necessarily that the emotion is bad. It's the assessment of that emotion. It's in our head, right? It's how we conceptualize what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
So like take a math test, like that just popped up a second ago on accident, but like a math test come up, right? Um, People are like, oh, I hate math. I've always done poorly at math. I've done this and this and that. And sure, I'm not going to argue with the past. Maybe people did do poorly in the past on math tests. But let's take the person who has always done poorly on math, who has now become determined to succeed in math, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in their efforts to determine it, they're going to succeed, right? They're taking control of their life. They go and they get a tutor.
Mm-hmm.
They study. They practice every day.
Yeah.
They start to improve on their understanding of the concepts. But then another test day comes up, and then they start saying, well, why did I study? I just wasted all that time. Well, because now anxiety's here, anger's here. I'm protecting myself.
Yeah.
Right? But then we can start now assessing that validation. Are they the same person on this upcoming test as they were on every other one? Or perhaps, they were hanging out with their girlfriend instead of studying. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing a video game instead of studying. No, they've put effort in. And so they got to understand that is a very, that dynamic of understanding that we are not the same person as we were back then is important. It separates us. We talked about that dual awareness in EMDR, right? I'm different now. I can rewrite my future.
Yeah.
That's empowering.
Yeah.
And that dispels the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. And that brings in that idea of owning the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
right? That if we can at least approach and own whatever that emotion is in the present, well, then that means I can at least do something about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can decide whether or not I'm choosing to feel like a victim,
right,
or choosing whether or not I feel unsafe, and perhaps trying to listen to what the emotion is trying to tell you is going to give you a better chance of figuring it out in the way that it needs to be, rather than letting the emotion take you for the ride.
And I honestly think that would be I know we wanted to dive into more of that today, but I honestly think we just talked about emotion in general. But owning our emotions is such a powerful concept that I can't explain to my clients the essential nature of learning to own it.
Mm-hmm.
That there's nothing bad. You're angry. it's okay to be angry.
Yeah.
Now let's listen to, why is it angry? Is it sadness under it? Is it shame, guilt? Let's talk about that part, right? Because if I am allowed, let me change how I say that. If others allow me to control them through their emotions, they become the easiest, I could become a great puppet master. I'm great at pissing people off. And if I wanted something done or not done, I know exactly what to do to kind of manipulate that, right?
Right.
Well, owning my emotion makes me more free. Not less.
And not only that, it provides you an opportunity to do something, right? You now become the boss, the leader, the controller of your life in many respects. Because if you choose instead to let the emotion be in charge, to let me feel like I was wronged, to, feel like this person intentionally hurt me or whatnot, then you're giving all of that to that other person. Rather than stepping back and being like, you know what? Maybe I could have communicated that a little better. And it's okay to admit that I'm wrong and I can say sorry. Though being able to take those meaningful steps is what ends up actually making a bigger improvement, because you end up expanding your circle rather than constricting it and pushing people away.
But it also is putting us on those boundaries of what we always did, right? Where we felt safe before, we never touching those boundaries. But now we're going to push against that because we're walking into that darkness part and saying, what does this emotion mean about me?
And how scary is that?
How scary is that? And you're pushing it. But again, strength only comes through resistance. It doesn't come through anything other than that.
Yeah.
Right? I can't sit on my couch or sit in my office chair doing things and think to be healthy.
Right.
I wished.
If I sit here and think I'm going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger someday, I will be. Right?
Yeah. Thinking, I'm like a foot shorter than that dude. He's a midget Schwarzenegger version of it, right?
Right. And, but it brings in
nod his ankles.
I think though it brings in that really, as you mentioned, you either do something about it or you don't. And a lot of people who decide to not do anything about it, it's because they're falling back into, well, that kept me safe, or at least it's kept life going well, right? Well, in quotations.
Right.
As far as I've been alive, but do you just want it to be well, or do you want something, or do you want it to be better?
But yeah, emotions have such a way to enhance a relationship, right? Like, I love my wife because of the fun I have with her. She engages with me on a level that no one else did. Like, she's just fun. She's witty. She's smarter than me in so many aspects. She's compassionate. And that changed me, right? For the good. I still hate heights because I fall quickly. But it's like terrifying. Like, but I don't have to go near them, which is ironic in Utah. But I can avoid them pretty well, right?
Right. But I think the other thing that I think is very important when it comes to those emotions within relationships, and I think it's a lot of the reason why people struggle with them, is because when that emotion is present, and especially if it's a negative emotion within a relationship, it's because likely that says more about me than it does the other person.
Well, you're right, or it's like, this hat came up from the past, or this and this and this. If I have to be right, I'm going to argue to the death. And I mean, we could go for days on that. But emotions will build us. It is the fact that we love to feel triumph, or we love to succeed, or we love to feel loved, right? Those emotions will draw people into relationships to try and enhance their feelings, their experience of this life. They're great. But same with the other side. If we really want to understand love, as you said, we got to understand fear and doubt and shame.
Yeah.
I'm convinced you can't know what love is without knowing what a little bit of self-hatred is.
Yeah.
Um,
Or you can't know what love is until you fear losing.
Fear losing.
That connection.
Yeah, you can't have courage without fear, right? It's not courage. It's not bravery to walk into a war if you have no fear.
Right.
You're not conquering anything, right? You're a robot.
But it's those who are truly courageous are the ones who have ended up kind of going into that and learning how to conquer.
And finding that they do. Those are the people we need to celebrate. So emotions are big. I really think we could hit this again, but the idea of like, how do we conquer? Maybe even the positive side of it. But the point I hope people understand is that don't let emotion be your best thing tool, resource when it comes to determining truth or what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
They can help sustain it. They can help detect it by, if we do something and it makes us feel bad, that's a good, clear indicator, right? But they should not be the basis of it.
Right. I like to think of emotion and logic. They're very complementary.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
We can't rely just on one or just on the other. Things don't work out too well. I like to think of it as the sense of like using a socket wrench, right? The logic is the wrench. It's always there. The emotions are the various different sockets. Now, you can't just take that socket, go over to a bolt or a nut, and just try turning it with your hands. It's probably not going to work too well, right? Same as if you take that wrench without the socket on it and just try ratcheting it around near that around the bolt or the nut. It's not going to work.
Right.
You have to use them together to be able to actually have something that's worth some sort of utility.
Yes. It will help guide you. It'll help you be able to not be deceived. It'll help you be able to detect who's good for you and who's not good for you.
Right. As long as you're using both.
Yes. As long as it's a fair amount of both.
Yeah.
And also rigorous testing.
Yes.
Rigorous testing. But we appreciate everyone staying for this one.
Yeah.
Emotions are something we obviously get excited about. We can squirrel on forever. But if there's questions, please leave them below. Don't forget to like us, subscribe.
Yeah. Check us out on all our other social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram. We're there.
Yeah.
But
and I'm also doing a daily vlog now.
Yes.
That's kind of been an interesting experience.
Yeah. So if you like seeing his face.
Poor Saul's, don't put it that way.
You can see us. You can see them on, we have them on our shorts there on our YouTube page. And we encourage you guys to check them out. They're really fun to listen to. Kind of giving some of those insights of what is standing out to you, right, throughout your week.
For that week or that day. Kind of whatever kind of themes. What's it like? Just being a therapist, because sometimes it's heavy. There are some days I wish I would have done one. I thought last week there's like 3 or 4 days like, oh, I need to do one, just because this stuff it's very good just to get out of my system. I don't care if anybody listens to it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just good. It's like my journal I write in every night. It's just good for me.
Right.
But follow us. We look forward to any feedback. And if you have questions, check us out.
Right.
Till next time.
Yep. Till next time. We'll see you guys next week.